Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our channel, and welcome. I just said that. What's episode is this? 208?
208. Run it.
Sweet.
All right. I hope you all been doing well. Thanks, you guys, for coming back. This is close to the end of our month-long video a day
Brian
series.
had a long night last night. He was withdrawing from drugs.
Shut
and
up.
He was just sweaty and
No,
faintish.
I had a really
and
horrible migraine, and it was
bad.
really bad. I don't think I've ever had a migraine that bad. And it was just like I couldn't do anything. Like I was like, yeah, I threw up, but it was a lot of throw up.
The way he said it, I threw up.
But no, that was a really bad migraine. It took forever to go away.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But I
It
feel
wasn't
better
nice seeing
today.
you Like that.
Yeah.
Right after we finished filming yesterday, it was lights out for him.
Yeah, I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
But you're better now, so that's good.
Yeah.
And we're going to do, what is this called? Will there
All right.
be a united Europe?
Yeah, today we're going to do Will There Ever Be a United Europe? All right, let's see.
On
Why?
November the 1st, 1993, a new union of European governments was formed that would alter the course of the nations of Europe forever. Gone were the years of war and diplomatic strife. It was clear that the founding members of the European Union had one primary goal in mind: a unified Europe, strengthened by the diversity and backgrounds of its member nations. You don't need to look any further than the EU's motto, In Varietate Concordia,
In
a Latin
varietate.
phrase which simply means united in diversity. However, things aren't as simple as they seem. Although the original purpose of the EU was to provide a general economic, political, and military support structure that its constituent nations could take advantage of for mutual prosperity and protection, it became clear that many vocal advocates of a transnational European identity wanted to take the European Union a step further. Why stop at just a union of member states, when Europe could be something so much greater? Why go partway to a full integration when a European federation could further the interests of all of the people of Europe? Those that advocate for this federation are fighting for a new government, which many thought impossible just 100 years ago. So, what would a European federation look like? And is it even possible? Well, to look forward to the future of Europe, we have to turn back to the past to see how the European Union we have today came to be. The year is 1948. 3 years prior, Europe was ravaged by a brutal and unforgiving war, which was estimated to have taken tens of millions of lives, not to mention the vast amount of industry and economic development the war had destroyed. In light of these horrible events, and considering the fact that internationalism had been brought to recent popularity with the rise of the UN, international defense was a high priority among many Western European nations. So a few of these countries came together to form what would be known as the Western Union. This union, initially composed of the nations of France,
I wonder if that has anything to do with the Western Union, the money exchange.
Don't
Probably
think
not.
So.
Oh, yeah.
the UK, Belgium,
I mean, you
the
never know.
Netherlands, and Luxembourg, was formed for the purpose of providing defense to all member nations, while also including the possibility of further economic, cultural, and political cooperation. However, it didn't end there. Several other pacts would be formed amongst the nations of Europe, eventually leading to the European Union with the Maastricht Treaty and the Euro. Since then, it has grown in size from only 6 to 27, spanning most of the continent and forming a massive political and economic bloc, which has been competitive with many of the world's greatest superpowers today. When you compare the Europe of the 1950s to how it is today, it has become a lot more federalized, even if it's not technically a federation today. So what comes next, if anything? Well, it's impossible to know for certain. However, a European federation could look much like a stronger European Union today. See, right now, the EU is still fundamentally just a treaty, whereas a European federation would be a nation-state with clear and defined roles, borders, and aspects, which can possibly be compared to something.
That is kind of an interesting thought. If like Europe would combine into like a united Europe, like how like United States.
What does that mean, though? Because
It means that they
already
would be
have their
considered
own-
like states in a country instead of countries within a union.
What is... Right. So, like, there will be, like, federal
Yeah.
laws and things like that versus...
Which I feel like there probably, if they let us know if there are, I feel like there are like EU laws, like the European Union laws.
Are there?
I would think so. like
I know
certain
there's
work
like
things.
international, like every country, but I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not
I'm
100%
probably
sure.
wrong.
like the US. The European Federation would have the highest court which issued supreme decisions. It would have a legislature with the ability to tax its population universally, and it would most likely have its own military instead of relying on constituent nations.
Okay, but I just feel like Europe is so diverse once you cross borders
Mm-hmm.
that it's weird to treat it as one giant place.
Yeah, I get
Even
it.
financially.
Like, it should be separate.
Yeah, I think it should stay separate, and I'm sure it
To
will.
back
I'm sure
it
a lot
in
of people
times
think
of
that
armed
too.
conflict. Because of this, though, a truly united Europe would be a powerful geopolitical entity capable of wielding influence which only the United States and China have today. Assuming all of the EU members agree to the formation of a European Federation, it would have a population of 450 million people and an earth-shattering $17 trillion GDP, making it only third in the world behind China and the United States. In terms of military strength, although member states of the EU are typically non-aggressive, a few of them, like France for example, have large and impressive militaries. And of course being united means they'd be way stronger. A combined military of the 27 member states
Yeah,
of
I could see it being a pro for like the government combining to be like a whole united Europe. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I feel like it's hard to learn off other countries when, you know? 'Cause
Yeah.
I even though there's so many countries in Europe, a lot of those countries don't do things the same way.
Yeah, I know. And they're
Politically.
yeah, I mean you could
Some are better than others and some, are not. I don't know. I just feel like there would be way more of a contrast keeping it separate.
Yeah, I get it.
I feel
'Cause
like that's how it just should be.
The people are so different. Yeah.
Yeah,
from
and
each
there's so much
country to the
history on
next.
that side of the world. Why mush
Combine
it into
everything.
one? I don't know.
Yeah, no, yeah, it
Everything.
makes sense.
I feel like everything always comes down to money, and I hate that.
Yeah.
EU could currently field an impressive 1.3 million active duty military personnel, roughly on par with the size of the US Armed Forces. The combined military expenditure is an impressive $225 billion, 3/4 of China's $290 billion, and they don't even dedicate a large part of their GDP to it when compared to the US. Their technology would be better too, as they'd all be united in what they're developing. Because, for example, while the US military uses just 30 weapon systems, the EU's many separate militaries use almost 180, 6 times as many. These changes would make Europe dictate its own future and not continue to live at the expenses of America and relying on them, as well as protect itself against the rise of India and other growing countries. However, this type of talk is easy. We can speak all day about just how
What does that mean? Protect itself against,
I don't know.
like,
I'm not exactly sure.
it's so weird. White people are so afraid of being overrun. If I don't know.
I don't think India's military is strong though. They just have a lot of people.
I don't know. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I really know very minimal.
But I
about
think
this
India's
shit.
starting to come up maybe with more advancements.
I don't think. I know I'm probably being ignorant saying this. I don't think India's trying to
Take over anything.
colonize.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But I don't fucking know.
how strong a European Federation would be and how it would be able to assume the role of a global superpower. But it doesn't actually matter, because there's currently a lot of things making this unlikely. So what's stopping a European Federation right now? Well, where to begin? Perhaps the biggest issue is
Yeah,
national
that's
identity. Many people in Europe are proud of their country's identity, culture, and history. They don't want it to be stripped away to conform a European identity. Because, let's face it, a successful European Federation requires a fundamental shift in identity for everyone. They'd need to feel European, as deeply and predominantly as US citizens feel American. And this is kind of a hard thing to do when you're comparing, say, Norway and Hungary. It's nothing like Texas and California, where while there may be a huge difference in the politics and lifestyle, they still firstly identify as American. Every European country has thousands.
You would think that, but the way it feels like some states here in the U.S. think of they're like, you'd see some Texas people be like, I'm a Texan before an American, like, you know what I mean?
And I'm not sitting here saying I'm a proud California person, but when we are out of the country and people say where we're from, I don't have an instinct to say America. I say California.
Yeah.
But I probably am supposed to say America.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever, but
America's so fucking big.
Yeah. Well, yeah, United States, yeah.
And this is a hot take out here. I and Brian knows, I've said this so many times, I feel like we should be more divided here. I know
Oh,
we have
like, you mean, like-
state.
Yeah, like as a country.
Yeah, I don't mean ethically divided.
Yeah.
I mean there should be harder borders when there should just be certain.
Of years of unique cultures and people. You can't just simply merge them together. It can end in chaos and division. Just look at what happened with Yugoslavia, for example. There is also nationalist sentiment and therefore Euroscepticism as well, which has been on the rise in Europe. Brexit is an obvious example of this, and many nationalist parties have been winning elections in countries such as Italy and Sweden. These parties aren't one-off examples of nationalists winning elections in a continent which generally trends towards internationalist social democracy. They're events which are indicators of a trend towards a more nationalist view of Europe. Those who supported Brexit felt that the EU wasn't the future for their country. They felt they should leave before they get more tied down, because they could better forge their future independently of the political control of the European Union. See, anyone who still feels a national identity can potentially be a liability, as they will fight for their national interests, which inevitably leads to inefficient government in a federal Europe. Then, with this in mind, a federal EU would be a heaven for corporate lobbyists. Just like in the US, you now need to lobby only one government to affect all 450 million people instead of lobbying each country individually. The other, yet still big thing stopping a European federation is things like currency problems. There's still a number of countries waiting for the euro or not wanting it altogether. Of the 27 EU countries, 7 of them are not using it. Bulgaria, Denmark, Hungary, Poland, Romania, Sweden, and the Czech Republic. There's 2 groups, the countries that can adopt the euro but don't want to, and the ones who want the euro but can't adopt it due to not meeting the financial stability requirements. The wealthy countries refusing to join is because of wanting to keep an independent monetary policy, lack of public support, and just the fact they don't want to politically commit to
So it seems like it would benefit, like he said, corporations and the bigger government if they were to combine, but it wouldn't really benefit the individual people.
Yeah, it's like how it is here.
Yeah, exactly.
So everything's run off lobbyists here.
Yeah, and it affects everyone no matter what state you're from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which sucks because there's only so much you can do state-wise.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool if like
we had like we should be divided into like
different
5 countries.
Yeah, because
like 4 to 5 countries.
Because say like if one leader of that specific state in United States of America chooses to do something that affects, you know, it could be federal, it would be better if it only affected that state.
Or those few clusters, Yeah,
exactly.
Ever closer union goal. And on the other hand, the EU can't just accept these non-qualified countries to join because of the risks it can have. Even if you as a country have the perfect financial discipline, as soon as a country like Greece goes into a financial crisis due to spending problems, high debt and deficits, you and everyone else part of the currency are forced to save them to preserve the value of the currency. And let's face it, no country wants to have to bail out other ones. It's another big reason why some countries are afraid to adopt the euro really. Eventually this might not be a problem, but it's looking like at least a decade away until then, and that's being generous. Lastly, another big question is, who truly benefits from this? The 2 main countries advocating for a European federation are France and Germany, and it's obvious why. They already have most of the power in the current union, and a federalization means more and more control over the autonomous governments of EU members. That all being said, there's other options that have been floated around. Even if a European federation is unlikely, the Russian war against Ukraine has changed the playing field quite a bit in favor of stronger European cooperation. A Switzerland-type model rather than a US federation one is possible, with subdivisions like cantons respecting the different languages and cultures of the European peoples, and a more direct democracy to not let a unified Europe become a recipe for easier control over more people. Or, forgetting the idea of uniting together like this at all, a strong trade alliance can sort out many geopolitical problems, because frankly money talks, and then a military alliance can sort out the rest. Federalism isn't needed for either of these things technically. Regardless though, whatever happens will definitely take a long time, and it can't be rushed. It's taken over 50 years for the EU to reach 27 members, and even then we can't say that they're all united. It will also take decades to evolve into a European identity. Something must happen though. The current EU is sort of in a state of limbo, with either going on to federalization or back to being just a single market in its cards. It's currently too middle road to be truly successful long term without major changes. with the European Council recently approving the Strategic Compass, a plan to
I know.
strengthen the EU's defense and security policy by 2030, we see the militaries now slowly being united, with the establishment of an EU rapid deployment team of up to 5,000 troops. So, despite all the disagreements member countries have, there's proof that Europe is still slowly but surely moving towards being more
Alright.
united.
Well, that was a very informative video.
Right. You can unite, like, as you don't need to formally unite. I mean, I see Europe as united already, just from an outside perspective. They're just not. There's not like a.
You know,
flag
yeah,
that says
yeah,
we are all
exactly.
one.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably France and Germany are gonna try it first and see how it goes, because if they're the ones that want to do it,
I think it's unnecessary.
yeah, I
You
don't
guys
think
are- most of you guys are allies anyway, so I don't get it.
it just seems like it's more of like a control thing to control everyone.
Everything is.
Yeah, but
Anyway.
all right.
Let us know if you've heard of this, if you live in Europe or. how
Yeah,
you
it's
feel.
only a year old, but
Oh,
I'll put the
video,
original
yeah.
in the description too if you want to see more of his stuff. All right. Well, that was interesting. Drop some comments below, like and subscribe, and jump over to our vlog channel, everyone. We appreciate it.
Bye.